Welcome to our program, Coach-to-Coach. Today's guest is Kathy Zant. Kathy is a celebrated keynote speaker, coach, and author, and director of content and community at Motivations AI. Her mission is to help executives and teams unlock their potential through neurolinguistic programming and motivation code. Kathy is a creator on the YouTube channel Coach Factory, where you can find many helpful videos to take your coaching practice to the next level. Kathy is also an author in her book Stroke of Genius. A story of personal resilience, strength, and spiritual genius found in crisis is available on Amazon. I have my copy right here. I'm enjoying it immensely and relating to it very well. Kathy reached out to me after seeing my interview with Jamie Smart a few weeks ago to connect, and I'm so glad she did because it's always a pleasure to meet like-minded people in the coaching world. So thanks for joining me today, Kathy. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you so much, Greg. I'm delighted to be here.
Great. So the way I like to start this is to ask what first sparked your interest in coaching?
Yeah, watching my husband work in front of a group of people. There were about seven of us at this event. It was a larger event, like 50 some people, but late at night, seven of us just kind of got together and we're having a conversation and things started to get deep. And then he started basically what I know now was coaching, but just watching him take people through processes. And I was amazed because I saw people just like physically transform. There was one woman, she was kind of hard, just had this hardness to her, just more, I don't know if it was anger or what was going on with her, but by the end of the conversation with my husband, she just softened and had this like joy and just like almost looked childlike. And she like physically transformed in front of me. And I was like, all right, who's this guy and what the heck is he doing? And as you know, we got into a relationship and I learned more about, and I think I told that story in the book actually. But it just blew me away. It blew me away with what could be done just through a conversation. Now, granted, he was using neuro linguistic programming, which I only just had a brief understanding of. I now am certified in NLP myself, but at the time, it was just like, he's the magician. I am here to support this man in the work that he's doing because he is breaking people free from the limitations that are keeping them from their happiness. And so, yeah, that was my introduction to what coaching was all about, was watching him work and basically helping him run his business sort of behind. I was the person behind the scenes
Yeah.
running all the tech, making sure all the customers were happy, like running the business side of things while he was doing magic with customers. And then, of course, you know, he had a stroke 4 years ago. And so, like his clients would come back to me, like, you know, I miss him. What do I do? And so I'd
Mm,
refer to like people that I knew he worked with and stuff like that. But
yeah.
this past year, it was like, wait a minute, I think I can do this.
Mm,
That's when I went and got NLP certified and got motivation code certified and started working with clients. And even, you know, just even doing some of those initial sessions, I was just like, wait, what process do I use?
mm,
And I went and asked him, like, how did you know what to do? And, you know, he stroke affected his cognition a lot.
sure.
And he's like, you're an artist.
Mm,
Like, oh, so you mean like it's about you as the coach, and then you just have the tools. And he's like, yeah, you
mm,
just you're the artist.
yeah.
Like, well, that was sort of a very
Yeah. Not as helpful as you wanted.
yeah, but I've really understood that it's not about the processes. It's
Yeah.
not about all of your training, all of you. It's really about you being listening to your client and
Mm,
understanding who your client is and what they want. And then, as it makes sense to bring in a tool like NLP or bringing in motivation code, I
yeah.
bring those in when it makes sense. But
Sure.
I am the artist. I am the person who
Yeah.
is intuitively partnered with the client to understand when a process is going to work for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. it feels like it's almost like taking over the family business, like the circumstances you found yourself in, and then finding your way into this profession is it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a little odd. Like I kind of realized earlier this year, maybe I was supposed to be a coach all along, but
Mm,
I was just in awe of what he could do.
yeah.
But Now that he doesn't do it, I kind of miss, I think I was just so excited sort of vicariously through him of like the
Mm,
transformations. And now that I'm seeing that with my clients, sometimes I'll see a transformation and I'll be like, wait, what just happened? And I'll get
mm,
chills and
yeah,
I can see them. I can see them visually, like they've changed, or tears will come,
yeah,
or, like they get a transformation. They get something that the change happens, and I don't even feel like it's me. It's not
mm,
me. I'm just here to listen and to sort of guide the process with a
yeah,
client. But they're the ones that are doing the work. It's their unconscious that
mm,
is shifting, and the choices that they're making, and how they're interpreting an experience that I'm just there to coach them through it.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned like processes and NLP and motivation code. Can you tell us more about like how you're working with those things and just about your practice generally, like what kind of clients you're working with, if you have a specific
Yeah.
niche or whatnot.
Well, the niche has been whoever, like, when I first started, it was just like Facebook friends. Okay. I need to get certified in this stuff, and so I need to do sessions. So I was giving
Mm,
away free sessions. So it was a lot of just like people that I've known from like grade school, high school, college,
yeah.
previous coworkers. And so it was just like all of these people that I knew. And then I've worked for a while in the WordPress space. So I work with a lot of agency owners, people who are working with developing websites for clients, just because
Mm,
that's what I did before I met my husband. And while I was working with my husband, he's like
yeah.
the website tech, all of that stuff. That was my deal, as I ran all of the tech behind the scenes in the online business. And so my experience has always been in technical fields
Mm.
and insecurity. So I was unhacking websites for a while. I used to joke that my husband unhacked people and I unhacked websites. And now I can do both.
Yeah.
So I work with a ton of different people. NLP was really interesting, always has been very interesting to me, just because I see, first of all, it's so helpful in communication,
Mm,
in listening to people and understanding how they process information, because none of us are having an objective experience. It's all
mm,
subjective. It's what we believe, it's what we perceive. And so
yeah.
some people are very visual in how they interpret their experience, and some people are more auditory. And that can be like external auditory things that they hear, or internal, the story they're telling
Mm,
themselves. It can be like things that they imagine in their mind as a picture, or something that they're seeing, but they assign meaning to all of these things. And so for communication, it has always been super interesting to me. But then there's also a bunch of processes that help
mm,
people kind of change those unconscious interpretations. So I find those tools really helpful when somebody's like struggling with something. I've helped people through anxiety, help people. So one woman came to me, she's like, I just want to lose 15 pounds. Can you help me? And I'm like,
mm,
well, let's try. So we
yeah.
did some processes, and it got way deeper than 15 pounds. It was really interesting. And then motivation code is very interesting, because it's an assessment that basically runs off of stories. It's based on 60 years of motivational research. And
Mm,
so people basically share with the application their story of the times that they've felt motivated and lit up in their life experience. And then motivation code tells them why. These
mm,
are the things that light you up. Here's your burnout zones. If all you're doing is like your bottom motivations, you're going to be like, why am I doing this?
yeah.
But it's sort of like this, just an interesting lens to understand how people see the world, and how people are, how their spirit comes alive. So,
Mm,
so that comes in very handy. And the best sessions have been NLP sessions that bring, where somebody already has done motivation code, they already have their report, they understand how they're motivated, and then they share that with me. And because I know what motivation code's all about, I can use their motivations in combination with NLP to really structure the NLP processes in a way that makes their motivation, like, it just makes so much sense to
yeah.
them and to where they're at. So, and M code is, it's, yes, it's a personality assessment, but it just goes so much deeper in terms, like you have Clifton Strengths, which tells you where you're strong,
Mm,
or where your strengths are, or you have like Enneagram, which tells how you do things, but those types of things can often change. Whereas motivation code tends to be like, no, these are the stories of your life. Somebody
Right.
might tell a story of like, when I was on Little League, I did this and got a home run and everybody celebrated,
Mm.
but how they tell the story to the
Yeah.
application, there's keywords in there that basically say, oh, well, they weren't motivated because they got the home run. They were motivated because, you know, people celebrated them,
Sure.
or so they basically give the tell to the application of
Yeah.
this is what
Yeah.
really lit me up about this. And so it's
Yeah.
more of a lifelong type of thing. So it's
Yeah.
really helpful in
Yeah.
that
That sounds
regard.
really cool. It sounds like the way you've described it is like the amount of leverage you can get out of knowing that as you go into a session with somebody. I mean, you
Really.
kind of know what to avoid and what to lean on, based on whatever the assessment points to. So that sounds like a great tool.
It's really powerful. And it's really powerful in organizations for like teams.
Mm,
If a whole team takes motivation code and everybody else, like you figure out how everybody's motivated, like a leader can understand, well, an achiever wants their gold star. They just
yeah.
want the celebration that, hey, you did a good job there. And so that achiever needs to hear that. Whereas like a learner is really motivated by the process of learning and explaining what they've learned and
Yeah.
sharing what they've learned with a whole team. And so these people, everybody's motivated so differently. But if a
Mm,
leader understands how a team is motivated, or if a team, everybody on the team understands, oh, this person is a learner, and so that's why they're taking so long to figure this thing out.
yeah.
Whereas a driver's like, get it done tomorrow, like they want things done immediately. They give each other
Yeah.
more room
Yeah.
to be who they really are in a team experience. So I find it in corporations, it's exceptionally helpful for teams to have more cohesiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is a classification uh, in that tool, but my wife is a processor, and the more times I remember that, the smoother our relationship is,
For
because
sure.
she needs time to process things. So if and
Yeah.
whereas I'm more of a, I don't know, just get her done kind of, moving too fast sometimes. So anyway,
Yeah.
I can see, I can relate to how helpful it is to know what somebody's tendency or kind of, for lack of a better word, default kind of motivation is. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
That's cool. I'm always curious to hear some examples. You've already shared a few, but of how coaching has helped either yourself or some of your clients. Stories that the audience can relate to and go, oh yeah, maybe coaching's for me because they've heard a story or two. If
Yeah.
there's anything that's
Well,
top of
after
mind.
after I can talk about myself because after my husband had the stroke, I was like, how am I going to deal with this? And
Mm,
a friend of mine encouraged me, like, make sure you take care of yourself
mm,
because there's going to be a lot more demand on you. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I reached out to actually one of my husband's, the person my husband used to go to for
mm,
his own coaching. And I'm like, and he had done coaching like he has an education doctorate and is just like understands psychology so well. And he's like done coaching with the kids and stuff when they were like going through teen stuff.
mm,
So I turned to him and I was just like, this has happened. I don't know what I'm doing. Help. And I've been doing coaching with him for coming up on 4 years now. And not only has he helped me get through like the scary stuff with dealing with the medical establishment and dealing with all of the calls to me having to become stronger and basically run I don't have my husband to fix things anymore. That's the
mm.
thing I miss the most is like that light at the top of the stairs.
Yeah,
He knew how to fix that and it's just going to stay broken until I sell the house. I don't know.
yeah,
I can't deal with it. So like I miss those types of things and he helped me find my strength and
mm,
has coached me through a lot of things. Earlier this year I was really pushing for a lot of different things and I got to the point this summer I was like I think I give up. I
mm,
just don't want to push anymore. And he kind of guided me through this process that helped me let go,
mm,
kind of like the let go, let God thing of just see if you float. Stop
mm.
even trying to swim up. Just let go of everything. And I'm much like you. It's just like, let's get her done. Let's get her
Yeah,
done. And I'm like, I can't get any, it just feels like I'm hitting this brick wall. And so I've gotten he really coached me into a place where not only can I make things happen, but I'm also letting go and letting more magic happen in my life, and like
Mm,
letting go and seeing how much more like God or the universe has my back. Like
yeah,
I'm going to a good place no matter what. I don't have to swim upstream in order to get there. Like maybe downstream actually is much better. And
yeah,
so coaching has helped me navigate everything from professional challenges to all of the personal challenges,
mm,
dealing with a teenager and all the stresses of parenting a teenager that my daughter has brought into my life, and things are much better. But I mean, just life is stressful, and we all need somebody. And it's beyond just like talking to a good friend. This is
yeah,
somebody who it just has a higher level view. Sometimes I'll go into a session and it's just like I feel like, oh, I'm just going to have a conversation, but then it's like, wait a minute, oh, I never saw it that way. Just
yeah,
like that professional perspective. And he's trained with NLP and a bunch of modalities as well. And so he can hear things sort of like what my unconscious is saying is really going on. He'll pick
yeah,
up keys that I can't pick up in myself. So
yeah,
it's been really helpful for me to have that kind of guide, somebody who just understands how life works and how the mind works and be able to call me on my stuff.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I find, the value of having your own coach too. It's they have eyes for things that you just are blind to.
Oh,
So
for sure.
and after they point it out, you're like, oh yeah, that's so obvious,
Yeah.
most of the time. But it's yeah, when you're caught up in your own stuff, even for coach, no matter how well trained you are or how experienced you are, I mean, that's part of being human is being caught up in your own stuff. So,
Yeah, well, we all have our patterns, and something that worked for us 20 years ago and worked really well for
mm,
us might not work in present day situation. And so and we just assume we make this assumption that once it works, right?
yeah,
That worked.
yeah,
And we just go in sort of this default mode with it, and it's almost like this thought process interruption that needs to happen in order to just see something from a completely different vantage point. It's so helpful.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because, as you know, did all my coach training with Jamie Smart,
Yeah.
who uh, ran an NLP business for many years and then kind of shifted to this three principles based coaching. But um, knowing a little bit about NLP myself, like uh, I see so much value in a lot of this stuff that you know he's doing and training us to do that would probably technically be part of NLP, building rapport and pacing
Yeah.
and um, you know the power of asking great questions, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've got a lot of there's a lot of juice there in that realm that
Yeah,
can
for
really
sure.
help
Yeah, and
people.
that's how, because my husband had worked with Jamie as well.
Mm,
And so he's still, I think, on Jamie's list. And so I go in and clean out his emails, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh, this looks interesting. And so I'd watch a video. So that's
mm, yeah,
that's how I found you. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, you've got interesting experiences.
yeah.
Let's chat.
That's cool. I'm curious about your YouTube channel because I was watching a few of the little shorts that you've done, and the gentleman on there, I didn't catch his name, but I just watched one of his videos about um, how many coaches quit after the first year, before the first year, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh, that's like so true, and whether it's coaching or starting any other business, giving yourself enough runway. Anyway, it just occurred to me, it's like there's so much great information in here. Maybe you can talk about the journey of starting that Coach
Oh
Factory
yeah.
channel up
So
and how
Coach
that's going.
Factory, yeah, it became a side project with Motivation Code. So um, and just because of my past experience with working with my husband, they're like, yeah, you're perfect. Just
Mm,
go do this. And so then when I started up YouTube, I'm like, I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I'm tired of hearing myself talk. I want to talk to some other coaches. So, including you.
yeah.
And so Justin Tillman, yeah, he's one of our M Code certified coaches, and I knew he's
Mm,
just so smart and such a nice person and just has great energy. And so, but yeah, that hit me like right between right here.
yeah.
yeah, how often we quit when we're in process, we're so close to really getting what that process is. Life is just such a process.
Mm,
We have this idea of what a final destination is, but I don't think we fully understand. We think the final destination is one place, but it might be actually bigger, or maybe you need to go down one path to learn something or to meet the right, to prepare yourself to meet the right person that gets
yeah,
you to the next thing. And it's just like this process. And that's one of the reasons I cut that into a short, was because like, yeah, this is the gold here.
mhm, yeah,
Because it's like so many coaches and so many entrepreneurs,
yeah,
it's not just coaches, it's everyone who starts something new and then they say, okay, I'm going to give it a year. But
yeah,
the year is like the first, that's just the first stepping stone. And I think, the 3 year mark, what
yeah,
that Justin talked about
yeah,
was, yeah, once you get to year three, years one and two are going to make a lot more sense. And so
yeah.
that just like, that one hit me as just the gold.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that occurred to me was that, the people that are successful, it's not because they had a better first year than everybody else. It's just they didn't let that stop them.
Yeah.
There's this persistence and giving themselves enough runway to really be in the game long enough for it to click.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. You've touched on the book a little bit, but I thought maybe I'd ask you specifically about the book and maybe more of the first question of what sparked your interest in coaching, but what sparked your interest in writing this book?
I wanted to transform what was a devastating experience into something that was of value to other people and to the
Mm.
world. And I tried writing that book for a couple of years, and I'd start writing and I'd get like 3,000 words, and I'm like, oh, this is just me and my brain dump. And I used AI
Mm.
to interview me and ask me, and I didn't, AI didn't write the book,
Yeah.
but AI helped me get clarity on what I wanted to say.
Mm.
And so I went through that process, and it was all about the caregiving and all about my struggles and everything. And then when I finished that part of it, and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't really explain. And the book was going to be like all about, strength through
Mm.
adversity, all of that stuff. And I'm like, this doesn't really explain, why would I do all of this for Mark? Why? And at that time, I was like, I think I've got journals from that time period. I'm going to go back and read them. And so I started reading them, and all of these like memories, things I'd forgotten, and just like how impactful those first few years of change, of like marrying the
Yeah.
coach, right?
Yeah.
Of like having this person come into my life and just like completely transform me.
Mm.
And I needed to tell the story of him. That's why he's on the back
Yeah.
cover too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I wanted to tell the story of us. So it's not just the story of the stroke and all of the
Mm.
changes that have happened since then, but I wanted to tell the story of how just meeting him and the transformation of seeing what he was like as a coach and what he did for people and all of the experiences we went through. I
Yeah.
wanted to tell that whole story too. So I went back to it and just kind of the whole story changed.
Mm.
Stroke of the Genius, because I bought, we were living in Austin, Texas when we first got together, and I was at like some book sale, like the
Mm.
library was selling all the books that nobody read. And I found this book called Spiritual Genius, and I bought it
Mm.
for like $1 for him. I'm like, oh, somebody wrote a book about you, and like gave it to him. So it's just a joke. But I found the book like
Yeah.
not too long ago, and I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
stroke of genius, stroke
Yeah.
of the genius. I thought that
Yeah.
was a interesting play on it, and it just kind of all came together. Actually, writing the book was like a therapeutic experience for me, of really like owning everything that our relationship has been and everything transformational. It's like undeniable, like
Yeah.
all of this was supposed to happen, including the stroke. Like, I know that sounds terrible, but I feel like he's still kind of a spiritual genius
Mm.
in drawing out my strengths and
Yeah.
making me more of who I can be by having me, care for him.
Yeah.
So I have found it to, and there's a lot of caregivers out there who are very bitter about the experience.
Mm.
And I find the more that I can care for his heart and care for his spirit rather than just like, oh, I got to go clean him up
Yeah.
and get him his pills and move his pillow, all of the mundane types of things. The
Yeah.
less I focus on that and the more I focus on caring for his heart and his spirit, which are still there
Yeah.
and weren't affected by the stroke, the more it becomes a positive experience for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not all the way through the book, but I like the flow of it so far too. Like it starts off kind of recounting the story of what happened and the struggles and things, and then you, like you just said, you go back to where did the relationship start, and then it
Yeah.
becomes a story of being a wife and a mother, and there's horses and dogs, and I don't know, it's just and you mentioned the Oasis song Champagne Supernova,
Yeah.
which I've now had stuck in my head for like the last 24 hours since I read that. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I used to love that song. So I watched it on YouTube, and now I'm out walking the dog, singing along in my head.
Oh,
Um,
that's funny.
but
Yeah, it was so
yeah,
funny. In the hospital, he's like, they told me like lyrics are stored in a
mm,
different part of the brain. So
yeah,
even though he can't really speak right now, put on one of his favorite songs and he'll be able to
yeah,
sing. And it was amazing because it was my son was like, yeah, put that on. But
yeah,
he was at a bar. He lives up in Minnesota right now, and he was at a bar with his friends, and that song came on.
mm,
And he told the story to his friends at the bar of what
yeah,
happened with Mark in the hospital. And everybody in the whole bar started singing Champagne
yeah.
Supernova for your stepdad, Max.
That's
It
awesome.
was just, yeah,
Yeah,
kind of wild.
yeah. Well, I resonated with it too because when my dad was in the hospital, he wasn't really able to talk in the end, but and my parents were retired Salvation Army ministers, but I brought some of his CDs and put on, the Salvation Army band and or gospel music and stuff, he wouldn't really move, but you could see his whole energy changed. So yeah,
Yeah.
the power of music, and that's one of the things I'm getting from your book too, is like the power of things like music and animals and just the nature, like the world around us, and um, there's so many useful and helpful things that we can tap into. So yeah,
Yes, very much so. I feel like all of the, it's almost feel like it's all there for you.
mm,
Everything is there for you to live the best life. It's just how open are you to seeing it?
mm, yeah. And maybe that
And I think
segues it into my last question, which is if there's one thing you'd want people to know, what would that be? And you may have already let the cat out of the bag, but
well, I think you kind of led me there
yeah.
actually. So, but yeah, it's kind of funny because I have my own podcast, my personal podcast, and I
Mm,
just recorded an episode this morning where I was thinking about all of that because I've been having all of these very synchronistic experiences where I see something or I'm doing something and I'll be listening to music and the lyrics of the song will be
mm,
like I'll be opening a door and they'll say open the door and I'm like what kind of joke? What is this
yeah.
joke that you're playing? But it's to me, it's like it's just kind of like this signal that I'm in flow, that my external reality is lining up with like
Mm,
there's multiple things all lining up in the same way. And I really do believe that when you are in the flow of who you are and where you're supposed to be, when you
mm,
kind of let go and go downstream with where life wants to take you,
yeah.
it's so much more than anything you could design for yourself.
Mm,
If you'll just let go of all of the patterns, the beliefs,
yeah.
the things that you're blocking yourself. And I think that's what the magic of coaching really is helping people their get themselves out of their own way because the rest of the world,
Yeah.
God, the universe, music, your animals, your life is waiting for you to just open up to the possibilities of all that you've ever dreamed of.
Mm, yeah.
How's that for inspirational?
I love it. I love it. Yeah. It was I don't know. My parents would have ended that with an amen.
Yeah.
So it's yeah,
Amen.
absolutely.
We'll just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if people are interested in finding out about you and the Coach Factory and your podcast you just mentioned, where's the best places for them to go and find all that great stuff?
Yeah, Zant.com. My last name is, I bought that really early. So
Mm,
Zant.com is kind of my home base, but I've also got Zantastic.me is my
Mm.
podcast. And then Coach Factory is coachfactory.co. And then, of course, Motivation Code is motivationcode.com. And so if anybody's interested in that, but yeah, Zant.com, I've got the links are all there
Okay,
if you're just looking for one place.
awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation and so glad you were able to join me today. So, and that you reached out and
Yeah.
connected with me. So, thanks so much for that and for being here today.
Yeah, no, I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. We'll see you again soon.